born an athlete, you'll die an athlete. It's in your DNA.
You're an athlete. Live like an athlete so that you can be successful in life.
You're an athlete. Live like it.
ANA, America needs athletes.
Welcome, athletes, into another episode of the Gym Closet. We're here with Amber and
me.
Zach, as usual. Welcome, guys.
Thanks.
All right, we got everything rolling. If this is your first time tuning into the Gym Closet, we are a podcast talking about everything Krave Gym, why it's beneficial to live like an athlete, what that means, and why that's going to lead to success in life. Both training like an athlete and living like an athlete outside of the gym, and we give tips and tricks and fitness things to ways to be successful in that. So today we have an awesome episode. We're going to go through kind of three topics that we've been sitting on for a while. We've either gotten questions or concerns or comments about these topics and what we what we would like. So obviously we've shared those answers with the people that ask us, but because we get it on a repeat basis, we want to cover it today. So we have three different topics that we'll be talking about. The exciting part, though, too, we're going to get back into our segments and some different things. So we have our foodie. We're going to transition that a little bit into more of we'll have 8 different options of what we're going to call it.
We need help with the name.
So if you haven't done foodie before, jump on our social media. You basically get 8 different options of what was just food, and then we dwindle, I think.
Twiddle.
I think it's
Definitely.
dwindle.
We dwindle down. We dwindle down and find out what everybody's favorite is. So we've done it with food in the past. We're going to do it with the name of this new segment, but the new segment is not only going to be food, it will be food as well, but it's going to include some other stuff as well. So exercises, what else were we talking about?
Like
traditions, movies, different things that Christmas movies was one of them that
Yeah.
we were talking about. So we'll have a bunch of different options and do it tournament style where one's up against the other because I love to see
Right.
everybody's opinions.
So first, we need help with the name. So we'll do a poll on that of what we should call that segment, and then we'll get into. I think the first one is food. It just happens to be food.
It does
We're
happen
talk
to be
about
food,
Thanksgiving food. So once we get the name, we're going right into the most favorite.
But are we going to
Thanksgiving
get the name this week though?
food. Today? Let's do it. This week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll
And then next week we'll start the Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have 2
Yeah.
votes.
So let's
this
get
week.
into
All right,
this
so make sure you stay on our social media. It'll be on stories in all of them, so make sure that you stay up to date with those and make sure you're voting. With those, of course, stories delete in, 24 hours?
Yeah,
Your
I don't know.
social
I feel
media.
like it's always changing.
Okay, well, whatever it is,
I
they
think
delete,
24
so make sure that you are paying attention. We're going to do the names most likely here today and tomorrow. And then we will start, when we're done with that, immediately with the Thanksgiving foods that we'll talk about and
Yes.
get the results out to everybody once we get the names. So that was the first thing that we have to clean up. One thing we wanted to touch on, obviously with COVID, there's a lot of different protocols and different things that are being put into place. Right now, we've gotten a lot of questions. We are operating as a gym, and so we are open until further notice. All of the attendance that we've been, the attendant protocol and all of the protocols that we've had in place continue to stay in place. And so there's no changes in the immediate future until we hear something new. So if you have any questions, contact one of us. But if you have been attending the gym and doing what you do, then you can do that right now. So that will continue. Now we're moving on to, let's go, do you want to get into your topic first? So Amber's topic's cool. We did a podcast, we did an episode, I can't remember what episode it was, but we did an episode on basically how to tell that you had a good workout and what I think we had like the top 5 ways or the top 5 myths on that people run into when they think that they have a good workout. So that kind of ties into this. So you can look back. I'll have to re-look, and I'll put a link at the bottom of the show to that podcast as well if you want to get into more of the deeper into kind of the science of those different things and why some of them aren't, because we did an entire episode on it. So so we have that for you too. But go ahead and talk about your topic.
So obviously smartwatches, okay, they're a big thing, or any kind of device that tells you, you know, how high your heart rate is, how many calories you burn, all that stuff. So I asked one of our athletes at the gym the other morning, you know, how are you liking strength season? And her comment was, well, I don't burn as many calories on my watch. And I know, you know, with the craze out there right now within the watches, and I even have one, but I literally have my watch because if I don't have my phone on me when I'm coaching and there's an emergency at home, I can know. But for shits and giggles, one time I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to see how many calories I burn. And I got done, I was, you know, gassed. Like, I worked hard, it's not like I slacked. And it said I burned like 200 calories. And I'm like, F this. Like, something's wrong with my watch, first off. And that does not dictate, you know, my workout, because I know that shouldn't do it. But I can see how some people, you know, they look at that and they're like, oh my gosh, I only burned 200 calories. I need to go do extra today. And so there's a difference between, you know, when you're running and the caloric expenditure that you're having at that time. So your body's moving more, you're having to work harder in that moment. So your calorie burn is going to be higher. So during our endurance season, in that hour, you're going to burn more calories because your body's moving more. Now with our strength season, you're lifting heavier weights. Okay. So your heart rate's going to be a little bit lower and you're going to have more downtime. But the calorie burn throughout the day is going to continue, unlike endurance training when that calorie burn stops after that hour. And so that's something I want people to understand is, like, you can't just base your workout off of your watch. Like, yes, your calories are going to be less during strength, but that doesn't mean the afterburn is not going to be more. And so, and then that just got me into thinking, like, every time you get done with the training session, like, you shouldn't be like gassed, like laying on the ground being like, oh my gosh, I died. Like, your body does not need that type of intensity every single workout because it prevents overtraining, prevents injury, or it causes injury and stuff like that. And so just the mental mindset of, like, how we run our program, and that if your watch says you burn less calories this season, that's okay. Yeah, definitely.
And I think to touch on kind of what we've talked about in the past on this podcast is those different things that might be a myth. You know, how much I sweat might be a myth on if I got a good workout or not. You know, did I fill my shirt with sweat? No, I didn't. Okay, I didn't get a good enough workout. You know, the other thing is like muscle soreness. All of these things are tools to see certain things, but depending on those goals in strength, our goal is to get strong,
right?
And our goal isn't necessarily to burn as many calories as we can. So obviously, we have 10 minutes less of our conditioning in strength seasons, and so you're obviously going to burn less calories because of that 10 minutes. But that's acute calorie burn, so that's the time that you are burning during that training, like you said. And so that recovery of your muscles and gaining muscle, and the adaptation that your body has to speed up your metabolism because of increased muscle is just as burning calories. That's why, like, you always heard, like, back in the day, and I'm sure they're still out there, it's the cardio bunnies that just do like an hour on the treadmill every single day, and that's their workout. And while I'm never gonna, you know, say that it's that any exercise is bad, you know, but if you're going to be optimal, you have to be lifting weights, and the reason you have to be lifting weights is because of the adaptations that your body makes to boost metabolism, have that tone type of work. And so those the acute workout, if you're periodized and you're training correctly, then it has less to do with that acute workout, and it has more to do with your overall mesocycle, your overall month, your overall 3 months, your overall year, because that's where we have to stay consistent.
And you know, that's why we periodize our workouts. So like after the strength season, we're going to get into our agility season. So then that caloric burn during that time is going to be more in that session, you know? And so that's why we periodize our training, because, you know, I don't know, that's just exactly what you said, you know?
Yeah, and then you also have to watch out for, you know, heart rate. The calorie burn comes from your heart rate monitor. And so you also have to think about, okay, you know, we have a lot of people that do those kind of competitions and that kind of stuff, which isn't necessarily bad. But if you are only relying on that heart rate monitor to tell you if you had a good workout or not, that's where you can be deceived a lot, because someone that's in really, really good shape, their heart rate is going to be less.
It's going to take more work.
You're working to have your heart rate lower throughout your entire workout, right? So like if I'm a marathon runner and I do a Krave workout, I'm most likely going to burn less calories than someone that may be deconditioned, maybe hasn't trained for 10 years. That person would have a higher heart rate the entire time, might feel like they're going to puke. You know, that's the other thing is the feeling of puking or being dizzy. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm striving for that. That's what makes that's what makes a hard workout. You know what I mean? And if you're striving for that, that means that you're not getting into good enough shape so that you if you can keep getting to that feeling. So that's an awesome observation as far as some people that, you know, rely on that watch too much. It's a great tool.
But if it helps with motivation and accountability for yourself, then do it, you know, but don't look at the workout.
You can't base your success of your workout on that.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think I see a lot of people. I don't have one personally, so I don't really know, you know, the ins and outs of them. But I know like filling up your rings and everything. You know, and so like you guys said, it's a great tool. You know, and like you said, if it motivates you to get up and move and do something, that's exactly, you know, what you should be using it for. You know, it's something that, you know, you should be noticing. You know, if you're sitting around all day and your rings or whatever they are empty, then yeah, you know, it's a good reminder of, hey, you know, I need to go, you know, go for a walk, go for a run, do something. Yeah. But yeah, it's
is that an Apple version?
I think so. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have
steps,
anything.
so many steps a day.
Yeah,
like, that's
exactly.
good. Like if you want to get your steps in, because you're just moving your body, and your body needs to move.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a great like motivational tool and something to kind of remind you. But you know, kind of to sum it up, like you guys said, you know, it's unhealthy almost to like look at the end of your workout. 'Cause you could have a great workout, look at your watch, like you said, and you know, maybe you're burning, you know, a few less calories than you usually do, and you're discouraged and you're, you know, upset about it. Like that's an unhealthy way of looking at it. You know,
and psychology is a big part of it, and the mental part of training. Just like you shouldn't feel like if you eat too much one day that you have to go and overwork the next day, you know, to make up for eating that. Like that's a bad relationship with not only food but with your workout. You know, and so that mindset of, and again, that's why we train like athletes, is because we train. You know, we don't just do exercise to burn calories. We don't just do the acute goal of that day. We have goals above and beyond as athletes to continue to help us improve in life and be successful in the gym. So awesome. The second one kind of goes into our periodization and why we train the way that we do as athletes, and kind of goes into a little bit more of, you know, our exercise prescription and why we train the way we do. But Zach, what would you got for us today?
Yeah, so one of the things that I hear from athletes a lot is they ask me the question always of why do we not, or can we do more core work, you know, planks and sit-ups, things like that. And first of all, again, same thing with like the watches. They're not bad. You know, they're not a bad thing. They're not a waste of time. They're productive in their own way. But the way that we set it up is, you know, we're using like the active rest time, for example, for our planks, sit-ups, V-ups, that quote unquote core work. The reason that we're not, you know, doing, you know, planks or sit-ups for like our legitimate like strength movement of the day is because you're still getting that core work during those strength movements. So basically any free weight exercise, any free weight lift that you're doing, you're going to be using your core if you're doing it properly. You should be engaging your core, whether it's squats, bench press, deadlift, literally every free weight lift that we're doing here in the gym, you're going to be engaging your core muscles to be doing that. The other big thing too to touch on that everyone always thinks a little bit of a misconception is, you know, the core, it's your you know, a lot of your torso. It's not just your abs. That's one thing that I hear a lot is people are like, why don't we do, you know, like sit-ups like strictly for core. Core is also, you know, your erectors and your back, things like that, you know. So I mean, you're engaging your entire core when we're doing those.
If you've done an RDL or a deadlift with us, like,
you're working your core.
You're working your lower back intensely. Like,
Yeah,
you're
very.
gonna feel it, you know.
Yeah.
And so the core work, and even just the pressure of, especially like this season, one of the things that we are doing is our 4 to 6 rep range. It's a lower rep range. So even the pressure that you have to put on your diaphragm, breathing out in order to do that heavy squat,
Exactly.
all of that is working your core. And actually this season is one of the times where we do actually throw in some of those active rest.
I think pretty much all of our active rest this season, I believe, is some, we have some sort of core, you know, action in every day this season, I want to say. But yeah, going along with that too, it's one of those things where the heavier you're lifting, the more you're working that core, you know. So this season when we're lifting heavy weights, like you're going to be like working the core intensely this whole season, you know, whatever, you know, heavy weight that we're doing. The other thing too that I wanted to touch on with that too is the concept of like spot reducing, where you're specifically trying to burn fat, like just in your stomach, for example, because people, they kind of go hand in hand. Like a lot of people ask me, why don't we? I want, you know, a 6-pack, so why are we not doing more, you know, core stuff for my 6-pack? It's impossible. That's like the straight up answer. It's impossible to spot reduce, to target burning fat in a specific area.
But what about a waist trainer belt?
Yeah.
Like
no,
there's so many products that make money off of the thought that I can just burn stomach fat. Right. You know, or all of the paste and gels and stuff that they are selling nowadays too. So stay away from those. But yeah, you burn body fat all over your body at the exact same time. So the only way to get to that 6-pack is burn enough body fat that will burn off. You just might not notice it in your legs as much. You might not notice it in your arms, but there is body fat over covering your entire body. But most of it, especially for guys, is centralized in that abdomen area. And so that abdomen area has a lot more to get rid of, and it may be the last stubborn, you know, you hear that all the time, the stubborn fat. Well, during that time, you're burning fat everywhere. And so it's the general overall body fat that you're going to be worried about, and all that is consistency and eating in a deficit, nutrition, and working out.
Before I got pregnant, like I had a 6-pack, like, but it was from the team training sessions. It's not like I would go in and do extra abs. Like I've gotten so many messages like, how do I get a core like you? Like, what do I need to do? I'm like, you need to train at a Krave Gym. That's what you need. And watch your nutrition.
We have virtual for you as well now. So you can train at any gym.
People's mind was blown when I'm like, I don't do extra abs or anything. It's just. And I'm intentional, and I think all of us are. Like when I'm doing a squat, like my core is always tight. And when I work with my PT clients, I have to constantly remind them of that, because I think so many people just like push their stomach out.
Definitely.
Like they don't have like you guys always need it when you're doing a squat. Tighten your core, and like I always say, suck your belly button to your spine, you know? Or when you're doing a clean, like that core should be tight the whole time. So really that mindset of getting, you know, keeping that whole core strength
and just our athletic movements too. Think about our,
because you have to, like when you do that turn and press, like you're using your core, like you better flex that core the whole time. So I mean, you're getting that core strength in like all of our functional movements that we do.
And that's what, again, training like an athlete is not just you know, the powerlifting movements. It's not just Olympic movements. It's a strength and conditioning program that has functions or has pieces of all of that to best be successful as an athlete. And so that all of those things, and especially rotation, balance work, not only that, but even in like agility, when you're changing direction and you're working on that balance and all of those things, you're working your core, you're doing different things.
Even striking. I
mean,
striking
when you're, oh my gosh,
core, you know?
You get so much core activation when you're striking. Like every cross you throw, every uppercut. I mean,
that core strong. And like I always tell those females too, it's like at the same time you can't compare your body type to mine, right? Because my body type's different than what yours is. So your abs might not ever look like this because you just don't have that in you, you know. And it's nutrition. I mean, if you're not eating the right things and stuff, you can't out train a bad diet. You know? So
like the whole the quote of saying that abs are made in the gym it's 100% true.
Kitchen.
Sorry, that's false. Yeah, don't listen to that. They're made in the kitchen. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes, it's true.
But
it's like you gotta watch
the right quote is true. Yeah.
Some females, just like you said, that that might be the last place it comes off.
Yeah.
Like you see, I have a couple of nutrition clients I'm working with now. Their legs are getting there, their upper body, they're losing it, but their core is just still there. And I'm like, sometimes that's just the last.
But what they don't
piece,
understand though is during that time when they've lost body fat in their legs, when they've lost upper body fat, they're losing body fat.
They
in
are.
their
Oh,
core.
yeah.
Yes.
So if you go through and you measure those inches, you may
Oh,
have
100%.
lost an inch off of your
And
core,
they do see it. They
you
see
know,
their
and
hips coming
that's the
in,
thing,
and like
yeah.
so it's all a positive thing.
Right.
But it just
Everybody
when
wants
they're
that,
seeing,
that,
yeah, like and so
drawn on
yes,
six pack, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, yep. But no, I like that topic too
Yeah.
because we do get asked that a lot. Just engage your core, everything you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the third one is mine, and I'm going to talk about something that has to do obviously with both of these. So if you're overtraining or you're training your core during this season, no matter what in our program, you have to have recovery. And so our recovery days are huge. That's why we train 3 days a week in the team sessions, and then we have our active rest days where you can stay active and train as an athlete. But basically, I have 5 tips that are ways to help you recover in our training program and make sure that we're optimally recovering. Just taking that time in between and doing our training program in itself allows for that time to recover, but there's different things that you do have to do. I have them all written down, so I'm going to be looking over to the right if you're watching this. But consider your off-field or out of the gym behavior. So, like number one, your goals in recovery and your goals in in the gym, you can't just leave those in the gym. You have to live like an athlete, and so that means getting the right amount of sleep. That's huge for recovery. Making sure that your nutrition is on point, whether that's getting enough protein or if that's getting the micronutrients that you need. So we practice flexible nutrition, so you can really eat anything you would like to hit those macronutrients. But if you are not eating a balanced diet and getting your greens in and your micronutrients, which are your vitamins and minerals, if you're not getting those in, that's going to hurt for recovery. You're not eating optimally in that sense. Hydration is another one. And then, obviously hydration, drinking enough water, and then, meditation and getting a mental recovery as well. Those are all things that you do outside of the gym on a daily basis. You worry about those things 24 hours a day, but those all are going to help you with your goal inside the gym. So that's tip number one. Number two is consider training splits and periodization. We do that for you. So, training different body parts so that you're not doing, if you just do bench press every single day, you're not going to allow your that muscle group to recover.
And you're gonna be one of those memes that says skips leg day.
Right. Yes, exactly. Yeah. You're gonna have the tiny stick legs.
Don't do that.
You're gonna be all over the internet.
Yeah, all over the internet. So don't do that. But periodize, and when we say periodize, we have if you go back, we have an entire podcast over periodization and what it does, and we'll probably repeat that as well. But periodization is basically just your plan in your workout. And so there's optimal ways to train so that you're getting the most out of your workouts and still being able to recover so you're not overworking certain aspects of your. So the tip number 3 is be honest with where you are today. And that might mean another way to kind of put that would be not to compare yourselves to other people while you're training. So like if I'm not able to, if my max squat is 250 pounds, I should probably not be putting 300 pounds on the bar, even if Jimmy next to me is putting on 300 pounds on the bar. That's going to hurt your recovery, right? That's going to potentially cause injuries, and that's not what you need to be doing. Same thing when it comes to going at your own pace. If you know, be honest with yourself. If you know that you haven't done a movement, you're going to be super sore. So keep those things in mind when you're recovering. You might need extra time. You might need extra treatment, which kind of goes into the next one, which is tip number 4 is stretch or mobility work, which can be a lot of different things. So you can do foam rolling, there's the Thero guns and different things that do like compression on your muscles, even massage. But then stretching after a training, we do that for you again. You know, and guys, sure, I talk fast.
So you're telling me to go get a massage every week?
Yeah.
All right.
Bingo. If you can find a free massage every single week,
Do
get
it.
it.
Be great for you.
That's
yeah.
you, right?
Yes, I walked on that one. But I talk fast when so like.
That's fine.
during
You're
the
doing a good
podcast,
job, and
interrupt
I just
anytime,
always feel
interrupt
bad
me
interrupting.
anytime.
Because I do it too much.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Ice baths is another one, and then general icing, like sore joints and different things. Ice is going to help with inflammation. Same thing with like ibuprofen or an
I'd
anti-inflammatory.
rather take ibuprofen than sit in an ice bath. Just saying.
That's true. That's true. Ice baths are like
Oh,
I
gosh.
loved ice baths.
Well,
I
they
lived
say,
in an ice bath
like
in
even
college.
what is it, Ed Milet and some of those people, they take like when they're in the shower every day, they turn it to cold and sit in there for like 2 minutes. And I tried it one time and like, hell no.
So Joe
like
Rogan-
I can't, like
Joe
even
Rogan
5
does-
I know, it's
seconds.
terrible.
Oh,
He has a
my word.
sauna and an ice bath, so he goes sauna, ice bath, sauna, ice bath, sauna, ice
No,
bath,
like,
back
I
and forth,
just-
and it's called
it's
something
it's
like
like there's
it's
studies
it's
that
like
say-
temperature shock therapy or something, and recovery is huge.
Oh, gosh.
So being able to get into that, and that's again inflammation.